One of the biggest hurdles that people have with retirement is transitioning from the accumulation phase into the spending phase of life. And you've been saving money, putting money in your 401k and your IRA, and now all of a sudden you have to spend it. And there are a couple of things that really create a lot of uncertainty for people. Number one is inflation, especially these days. You go to the grocery store, you go put gas in your car, and inflation's running really hot. Number two is investment volatility. That can create a lot of worry or anxiety about how the stock market's going to perform in the future. Number three is you don't know how long you're going to live, so you don't really know how long your money has to last. And then number four, you don't know what kind of medical expenses you're going to run into. So it's hard to know if you can really spend because you may need a big chunk of money towards the end of your life. And a lot of people say that they never want to become a burden to their family physically or financially. So in today's video, what I want to do is I want to show you how to alleviate some of those concerns. And I want to show you how you can start to structure things in a way so that you can have a lot of confidence, spending confidence as you head into retirement. You've saved this money. You want to spend it. Most people want to spend it. Most people say to me, they say, Jason, we've taken care of our kids. We helped buy them cars. We helped buy them houses. We put them through college. Now we just never want to become a burden to them physically or financially. And if there's anything left at the end, that's great. But how do we create a plan where we can feel confident to know that we're continuing to move in the right direction? And one of the things I want to say about having a plan should be an ongoing process. It's not something you do once and you forget about it. Planning is what will give you that confidence that you're looking for, so that you're always updating these numbers. You're coming back to the plan to help you know whether or not you're going to be okay. One of the challenges that I think people run into is they say, Jason, I have a financial advisor. And then when we look into it, what we find is they don't really have a financial advisor that's created a comprehensive plan. They have an investment advisor that has recommended some mutual funds or some stocks or some ETFs, or they have a 401k at work, but they're not actually working from a plan. So one of the first things we want to do is that we take a planning first approach to retirement, and then we look to how we can make the investments match up with the plan that you've created. Now, when it comes to investments, a lot of people think that, they buy newsletters, they listen to people on YouTube, they turn on the TV at night, and they buy the S&P 500 index, so they think that they're diversified. And I'm going to provide you with some additional links in the comments below. So if you'd like to watch a more detailed explanation of how to invest in retirement, you can click on those links and they'll take you to specific videos about asset allocation, diversification, and what it means to really create a comprehensive portfolio that's designed to be pretty boring, actually, because when you get to retirement, your investments should not be the exciting part of your life. You want a boring strategy that's going to get you to where you want to go, and you want to avoid gambling. You don't want to take your IRA down to the casino and put it on red or black. That's a really bad way to have a financial plan, an investment strategy as you're heading into retirement. Okay, so if you're ready, let's dive in. We're going to use the retirement budget calculator to model this for you. Of course, there's a link in the show notes before, so you can create an account at the retirement budget calculator if you're interested in creating any of these models for yourself. So in this initial plan, we have John and Nancy, and you can see John was born in 1964 and Nancy was born in 1964. They're planning to retire in 2 years, so they put their expected retirement date in as December 31st of 2025, and then they're going to make a hereditary adjustment to assume that they're going to live to age 90. Now I'm going to take you over and show you the outcome, the results of putting their information in, so you can see why this is valuable. But what we've done is we've created this table of data, and you can see right now they're working, so they've got good income coming in. He has $120,000 a year of wages coming in, and their budget only requires $7,000 a month. $84,000 a year is what they're spending. So while they're still working, they're running a surplus. But you can see this green line represents the year of retirement. And then at 62, they're going to be retired. And in this model, we're assuming that they're both going to start Social Security right when they turn 62 in 1 month. And so you can see year 2027 in their case would show when both of their Social Securities, they're going to have a full year of Social Security for each of them. And then you compare that to their budget. So they're going to have $35,363 of Social Security. But their budget, now remember, they needed $7,000 a month in 2024, but by the time they get to 2026 with inflation, because we have to assume those expenses are going to keep going up every year with inflation, they get to $89,115. Now, one of the things I think is really important when you're putting together a plan like this is you don't want to just use the same inflation factor for all of your expenses. For example, if you have a car payment, that doesn't have any inflation on it. That's going to get paid off in the future. If you're retiring and you still have a mortgage, your principal and interest doesn't go up with inflation. Your taxes and insurance will. But you want to make modifications to show what expenses actually increase with inflation and what expenses don't. And then some expenses, things like medical or health insurance expense, that might go up at a rate greater than inflation. So you might want to use a higher inflation factor on health insurance. And then food, maybe you want to use the average inflation of 3%. I always like to say hope for the best and plan for the worst. So it's better to aim a little bit high on inflation and a little low in terms of your rates of return. But in this case, you can see they've got $35,000 of net income coming in. Their budget requires $89,000. That means they're going to have to take out $53,751 of portfolio withdrawals to support their spending. One of the reasons I think people don't have confidence in retirement is they do this all backwards. They look at the pot of money that they have and they say, how much can I withdraw? And what we do differently in the retirement budget calculator is we put the emphasis all on your spending. Once we understand the spending, then the spending determines how much we need to withdraw. And then once we know that number, then we can start experimenting with things like, well, what if I want to spend more? But you really want to make the focus of your financial plan, your retirement plan, based on a spending first retirement plan, based on your budget, not the pot of money that you have. But in this case, you can see these folks, they started with $1,500,000 in the first year. We just made a really conservative assumption about rate of return. So we're saying that they're just going to earn 4% per year on their money. And I'll show you how you can play around with those numbers as well. But you can see they have to start taking out $53,000 that first full year of retirement after the year of retirement. So the green bar represents the year of retirement. This is the first full year after retirement. And they have a portfolio withdrawal of 3.3%. The next year, they need a $41,000 withdrawal, and that's a 2.6% withdrawal rate. So we know that the work that's been done through the Trinity study or Bill Bengen says that 4% or 4.5%, depending on how you're diversified, has been called a safe withdrawal rate if you have a 30-year time horizon for retirement. So one of the tests that we can have to give you that confidence is to say, well, are you in that 4 to 4.5% withdrawal rate as you're heading towards retirement? We run the numbers down, and again, because inflation's going up, you can see their expenses are going up every year, so their portfolio withdrawals are having to increase over time. And then one of the things that we did when we built the Social Security into the plan, and you do this over on the budget data section, so under income, this is where we have their income. You can see we have his Social Security and her Social Security. But we assume that each of those Social Securities are only going up at 2% per year. Now, historically, Social Security's increased more than 3% per year. But again, from a planning perspective, hope for the best, plan for the worst. So aim low on the cost of living adjustments for Social Security. Aim low on the rate of return that you're going to earn. In this case, we're assuming 4%. And then aim high on the inflation for your spending. So you can see what we did was to create a very simple model, was to say, what if all of their expenses were $7,000 per month and they all increase at 3% per year? But you can go through with your expenses and you can be as detailed as you want. So you can have different expenses starting and stopping at different times with different inflation factors for each of those expenses. So you can really model out what your financial life could look like. Again, what we're trying to do is create confidence, spending confidence. There's so many people that end up dying with a bunch of money because they just were afraid to spend, and then what happens is one person dies in a couple. And then that surviving spouse just doesn't want to do as much as they did in the early years of retirement. So it's really important that you're working from a plan and that you're continuing to update your plan, because that's going to give you that confidence. So in this case, we run these numbers down and we get them both to age 90, and there's still $804,000 remaining in the account. So once we create this baseline, then you can start stress testing it. You can say, well, what if I buy an RV and I own it for 5 years and then I sell it? Or want to buy a new car every 5 years. How would that look if I incorporated that expense? What if we want to take a great big trip? We want to do a cruise around the world and we want to spend 30 days on a cruise boat. Can we afford that without it really messing up our financial life? And again, I wish there was an easy way to do this without crunching the numbers, but just using general rules of thumb are not going to give you that confidence that you need to be able to make the numbers work. Of course, if you want to assume like a 60% stock, 40% bond portfolio, see, how if you were to back test your financial plan using something like a 60-40 stock bond portfolio, how would that work out? Those are some of the things that you can play around with in the calculator. You can change your withdrawal rates. Over on the assets and liabilities tab, you can change the withdrawal order to see, well, what happens if we dip into the brokerage account first and then the IRA? Or what if we dip into the IRA first and then the brokerage account? Or what if we split the withdrawals evenly? We say, hey, we're going to dip into each one of these accounts and pull money from each of the accounts as we're heading into retirement. So these are some of the things that you can do to create more confidence for yourself heading into retirement. Remember, a financial plan is not just an investment strategy. And this is a place where I see so many people messing this up. They have a financial advisor that sold them mutual funds, that sold them an annuity, but they have no financial plan. And it's by creating a financial plan and making sure that your investments are matching up that you're going to have more confidence. And then how you invest is really important. And that's why I'm going to include the links in the videos to the videos below so that you can understand the methodology and the philosophy behind creating a broadly diversified portfolio across asset classes, sectors across the entire globe, how you rebalance that portfolio, and how you avoid playing this game of trying to get in and get out of the market. And you can turn off all the news and the YouTube channels and the newsletters that you're paying hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars for, and just really spend more of your time on the things that matter the most to you, which should be living a great life, spending your time with the people that are most important to you, going to the places you've always wanted to go, being that great parent and grandparent and friend, being involved in your church. These are the things that we want you spending your time on. And to have that confidence, you really just need to put a little bit of effort and a little bit of work into this, and you can do this in just a couple of hours and really know whether or not you're on a good, sustainable path for retirement. Okay, thanks so much. I hope this was helpful.